I hope there's no echo. I hope this is working. Okay. So last week my bus pass ran out. It's cheaper than normal for right now, but I decided I'm not doing the stuff I'm supposed to be doing, so I figured let me try to um not get the bus pass, not take a bus. Let me try to do everything within walking distance, which is not easy. Um so I said I'm going to try to do that, and maybe somehow that'll force me to do the things around the house that I need to do, because the jig is up. I don't have time anymore. So, I can't stay in the house. I'm not a stay in the house person. I never have been. That's why the beginning of the pandemic was so hard. I couldn't even believe I stayed in the house. But the more I stay home, the less I do. You know, um, before, if I was gonna like clean up or do anything and do stuff around, like if I had to fix anything, or the way I got the energy, I would walk up to the place to have breakfast, have a cheapy breakfast, and then walk down, and then I would be fed and energized to do what I needed to do. So it was after having done all that I would have the energy come home and do things. That's how it used to be. Nowadays, if I go out and do things, do errands early, and then I come back, I'm exhausted. My feet kill me, and that's even with taking the bus. Now today, I was supposed to be doing this. I was supposed to be not taking the bus in an effort to just force myself home. I'd be able to stay home more. That would force me to do things, right? This is like, what, day 4? I also thought, remember I was freaking out about the phone bill? Well, I didn't pay it. So I resigned myself to the fact that it was going to be disconnected and all this stuff. But then I started to say the bright side of that was that I won't be afraid of phone calls that I don't want to hear, you know? So I thought, okay, that'll help me in my quest to stay home and be comfortable. Guess what? They didn't disconnect the phone. And as I'm walking around just now thinking about that, and I got so upset because it's like I haven't been able to depend on anything, like any information, through this whole thing. And even before, I've had a lot of stuff I had to do. And in the time after my mom died, trying to figure things out, it was nearly impossible to get information. It was hard to find out things. So many people are in the system and they do things the regular way that they've almost made it that, and I think this has to do with the information age. It was that the information made information valuable, and you had to pay for information. So the people who have the information won't give it to you. You know what I mean? So it started to be, you have to go through these kind of people. You have to go to a lawyer. You have to go do this and do that. And you have to, if you don't do all the things that you're supposed to do, or people who you're dealing with their stuff and they didn't do those things, now you're in trouble because nobody knows how to do anything except the people who get paid to do it. And then they're not going to help you if you haven't been paying all along. Like, if you haven't been going to the doctors all along, the doctors will like punish you by just doing an operation you don't need, to punish you for not being an obedient patient or anything like that. So the people who used to be helpful, they stopped being helpful. So I don't know how I got off on that tangent. The point was that that's how it started. And in the middle of the pandemic, trying to figure out what was going on in terms of what I could do, what I couldn't do, trying to call agencies, it's impossible to get someone on the phone. But then in a place like this, a lot of things aren't all online. So the way I used to do things, as long as I've lived here, I did things by foot. I would show up at an office to get things done in here. I wasn't the kind of person who wanted to, send me an application, fill out the application, send it in the mail. I mean, all snail mail, right? And then wait for them to call you. And then this is how things used to be. So I would just go in person and do things. So I would get the information I needed, be in their face, so I wouldn't have to sit around and wait and deal with all this other crap. And That's how I did things. That's how I was able to maintain any kind of mental stability in a place like this where everybody's kind of crazy or they just go along with things. I am not a go alonger. I never have been. So throughout this pandemic, through the stuff with my mom's estate, through all that legal crap, I spent last year in terror, not knowing what was going to happen to me, going to people who were supposed to be helping me, getting paid a lot of money, well, taking the money out, keeping me in the dark on purpose because it helped them to make more money off of me, basically. Um, and being in lockdown and just trying to find out information, calling places, nobody's there, you know, or leaving messages, nobody's there, and trying to get things done and trying to look it up online and the information's from years ago, or or the information tells you call this kind of person, you need to call this one, you need to call that one. There's nobody. You call the number, nobody's there. And this is what I've been going through off and on and off and on. And then I noticed, like, as I was trying to, like I said, what do I want to say? Not scramble, shuffle which bills I was paying, trying to determine this and that, and when do they shut this off, and they won't tell you. They stopped telling you during the pandemic, and it was like you couldn't get information. And then I realized with one bill, the the cable slash internet bill, I realized not that long ago that when you went to the website and it would tell you, oh, you have to pay this much by this date or they're going to cut it off. At some point they stopped making that a normal date, and they programmed it to whenever, if you have any, if it's past due at all, right, the date they're going to cut it off is the day that you go on. So let's say in reality they were always the past due date, right? The date that they're going to cut it off was, let's say, the 18th, because that was what the bill was. It was, I knew I had to pay by the 18th or else. That's what it was. Now all of a sudden, at one time I went to look like a week ahead for some reason to make sure I had paid it last time or something. I went and it said that date, and I'm like, I know it's not this date. I know they're not going to cut it off today. But I panicked and paid it anyway, right? And then the next month I waited. And it was again back on the normal 18th. So I realized, and for the hell of it, I tested it. And I went another random day. And it said that the day that I checked is the day that they said, if you don't pay, we're going to cut it off. And I knew they were doing that. And it pissed me off because it's like, people are struggling. People are trying hard. You know, if you're making false threats to panic people into paying a bill, you don't know what people are going to do to pay that bill. You don't know what situation you're going to frighten them into. They may borrow from people who are bad dudes. They may feel like they need to turn to a life of crime, like I said. They may do all kinds of horrible stuff because they're being told lies about, you have to pay this now or else. Meanwhile, these companies got plenty of assistance from the government, and they have no intention of doing anything. So I knew the cable was doing that. So when I checked, and I just decided to call the house to see from my cell phone, and it was on. I was like, I was so upset talking to that lady on the phone, explaining how the bill didn't make any sense. And it's deceptive tactics, okay? Which it's fine, but if you want people to pay the bill, okay, that's fine. But don't. I'm okay. I'm stupid. Okay, I'm a child. I can't deal with people lying. Okay, I've said before, when I list the people who are evil and the levels of hell or whatever, that deceivers are right up there, because you can't do a lot of bad things in this world without lying to people and deceiving people. So if you're deceiving people and that's forcing them to do things that, it's frightening them, it's making them mentally unstable, it's just because you want to manipulate them into doing what you want, whether you're a company or a human being or whatever, and you're playing mind games, because that's what deceiving is. You should be on the hook karmically for whatever mental health thing. If somebody starts drinking, if somebody turns to drugs, if somebody tries to do themselves in because of the pressure of everything, and it's all just deception, it's all just false threats and manipulation, I hope to God there's karma. I hope to God there's something, because otherwise this whole planet should be vaporized, because people are so lousy, and you see them winning and succeeding and having everything. You know, I've already said before, I thought this pandemic was going to straighten things out. Instead, the bad guys have more. You know, I'm supposed to be talking about how tired I am. So yeah, so I decided to walk up to, I was going to walk to Walgreens. Once I got there and I was sitting in, I knew I would have to sit down, you know, to rest. So there's a park, there's a big park there. So I said I'll walk, sit, go in the store, come back, sit, walk back, because my feet kill me, you know. This is what didn't used to happen when I used to go get breakfast and come back. I used to come back energized. Now I'm just old and tired. I think way back when I was given certain medications that it affected my bones and everything. I was supposed to affect my bones, but they didn't care too much. So I am weaker in that way. But once I got to Walgreens, once I got to the park, I decided, no, I'm going to go to the grocery store, which is a ways more up. And I told myself when I left, I said, I'm not going there. Again, I don't have control over myself. I don't know how. When I get to the park, I'm like, no, go to the grocery store. So I go to the grocery store. And the whole reason I left, I didn't even say that, the whole reason I left in the first place is because I was trying to stay home. I want to stay home. I couldn't. Around 10 o'clock, I'm like, I gotta get out of the house. I gotta get out of the house. My nerves were so bad. Again, I was thinking about the phone still being on. And then my nerves got bad, and I was like, I can't stay in the house. I have to leave. I have to leave. I have to leave. So I decided I was going to walk to Walgreens. I ended up going to the grocery store. I get in the grocery store. The energy. I said about being an empath before. I think I'm an empath. Not that I'm a wonderful person. I'm not a wonderful person. I don't like other human beings. But it's mostly because I do pick up on their bad juju. I do pick up on their energy. They do suck the life out of me as energy vampires and things like that. Doesn't mean I like them. Doesn't mean I'm nice. Doesn't mean I want to, be Glinda the Good Witch. I'd rather be the other lady. So, and your little dog too. F all y'all. So, I go in this grocery store, and the energy is like insanity. It's like, I want to say it's like I went to a rollerball tournament. It's this. It wasn't like everybody was running around. It's not like everybody was going fast. But if everybody had literally been running around with their carts through the grocery store, it was that kind of feeling in the store. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. The whole time I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I gotta get out. Gotta get out. Gotta get out. And I'm trying to go around and look around, and I'm like, no, 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 no. It just was such a feeling of, I almost want to say hysteria, but people weren't acting hysterical. But the energy in the place was, like kids at recess. And people weren't acting like kids at recess. But the energy, everybody was in their carts getting stuff. It's not like people were cutting me off or anything. They were just doing their thing. But the vibe of the place was like, kids who had been stuck in the house forever, and now they're outside. But like I said, they weren't acting like it. It was just the vibe, and I was like, no, I gotta get out of here. I couldn't. And then I don't know, any interactions I have with people are awful. The line for the self checkout was too long. I'm like, let me go in the 10 items and below line. And then it's like, am I going to bag the stuff or not? Because God forbid, Dartmouth doesn't, they only have paper bags. So I brought my own bag. And then I'm like, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, why do you have to ask me? I just, why can't we go back to the way things were? Um, so it's just, I just wanted to get out of there so bad. So bad. And then I went back down. I carried the stuff. I was gonna go sit. I got in a little ice cream. I was gonna sit in the little Haagen-Dazs. I'm gonna sit in the park, eat that, and rest. And then I'll continue on my way home. And then I'm like, my nerves are still crazy. And I'm like, I remember the other day I said how I went out and there were no people. Everybody's outside. Everybody's outside today. You wanna know why? Sun's out, and it's above 60. Again, why I hate people. I hate people. Generally speaking, when I say I hate people, it's because their behaviors are closer to that of animals than angels. Okay? If your spirituality is out the window and you're acting like a beast, you're all root chakra, sacral chakra, you're down that end all the time, we don't have a lot in common because I'm all the way on the other side, whether I want to be or not. Okay, but I don't know if you can hear the difference in all the cars going up the street. It's everybody's out, but I understand if people want to go out to a park, they want to go to the beach. I don't understand why everybody's going to jump in their car and drive around. So as I'm walking, there's so much car noise that it sounds like crashing waves, and waves are nice. Crashing waves sound like a storm, sound frightening. So that's why, even though the people in the store weren't nervy, like they weren't hyper and doing their stuff, their energy was hyper, you know. And that's why I've always disliked spring or summer when it starts coming around, because people, for whatever reason, especially people I've lived around for the last 20 years, what they do, their way of being is completely about the weather. Now they have cars, so they can go out in whatever kind of weather they want. I really shouldn't go out walking around when it's raining. I did that yesterday. It was like heavy drizzle or light rain, but I still went for a walk because I wanted to. I wanted to get stuff yesterday. I didn't get enough. If I had gotten enough yesterday, I wouldn't have gone to the grocery store up here because I had gone to Family Dollar, but that's the walking distance place I thought I was going to be able to go, but they just don't have enough. So and it was a totally different vibe outside. And for people to be so controlled by the weather, like they got a barbecue, like you can't barbecue when it's 50. I'm not saying you should. I hate barbecue smell. I just, all those summertime fun stuff that everybody else loves, I want nothing to do with. All the noise, all the excitement, all that crap. I want to be peaceful. I want to be quiet. I want it always to be like Christmas Eve is supposed to be, with, nice falling snow and silent night, which it's never like that here anymore. But it was just like the other day I was saying, where did all the people go? I thought everybody died. I thought, oh, maybe the undocumented workers all went home. I thought there's some reason why nobody's out. It was overcast. Today the sun's out. Everybody's driving around and everybody's running here and there. Yesterday, what's the big difference between today and yesterday? There isn't one. So yesterday was completely still and quiet, and the sun today, everybody's acting like, they're in a Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello movie over here. you know, I don't want to go up and down all the time, but because I'm affected by people's energies, if everybody's going to go up and down based on, oh, the sun's out, let me act like a Tasmanian devil, or, oh, it's, cloudy out, let us all plank and mope and lay on the floor, I'm going to pick up on that. That's why It affects me, and I don't want to be affected. This is why when I look forward to this, like, I almost hate everything. I'm sitting in the park, beautiful blue sky, looking at the trees. The leaves are out mostly, looking at some of the tulips and stuff, and I was like, no, I feel like I'm in blue velvet. This doesn't feel happy. This doesn't feel peaceful. I feel like I'm in blue velvet. Some horrible shit's gonna happen any second. I'm gonna find an ear, you know? And I was just like unsettled. I never finished putting up. I have not been getting this manifest crap done. And there was 2 episodes. It's gonna be 2 episodes tonight. I just never fixed them. There's something wrong with me. I'm not in control of myself. I was trying to follow my tuition this weekend. I got messed up, and then Monday with the thing with the bill, I got completely off track and spun around. I don't feel like I'm centered. I don't feel like I'm grounded. That's also making me scared, like I was talking about this morning. So I don't feel like it's okay to just trust myself anymore. I felt panicked because I can't trust anything. I have a lot to say, but it's long already. But I feel like every single step has to be an act of faith. And I used to have faith. And I took leaps and I fell down. And then God stepped on my neck with his giant foot. And every time I tried again, I fell down again. So now it seems like nobody is telling the truth. You can't trust the date on the bills. You can't trust what anybody else is saying. Everything is constantly changing. You have no idea what government's doing. The news isn't telling you what's actually going on. How are you supposed to take off? How are you supposed to plan? How are you supposed to do anything if reality isn't real, because everybody's making shit up and everybody's deceiving everybody and everybody's trying to get over and everybody's trying to manipulate their fellow man? It says, the news says CDC predicting a drop in cases by July. But this morning they were panicked about people not being vaccinated yet. Judge orders end to eviction moratorium. You see? What's gonna happen then? They're just gonna try to open the floodgates and they think that's gonna sort itself out. How are there not going to be riots in the streets? We had riots in the streets, but how is there not going to be mayhem? And my karma lined up with it. My own life, even though I'm so different than everybody else, it lined up right with everybody else's life going to hell. I can't believe it.